A lot of people believe that leadership starts only when you manage a team, when someone officially reports to you and you hold a formal title. But the truth is, leadership begins long before that. Some of the strongest leaders in organizations earned their reputations before they ever had a single direct report, because they learned to lead through their actions and behavior, not through hierarchy. So if you don't manage people yet, here are a few powerful and very real ways you can start building leadership today. First, there is cross-functional collaboration. In every organization, work increasingly happens across teams. Marketing has to work with risk. Finance has to work with technology. Operations has to work with compliance. And in many of those situations, nobody is in charge of the whole thing. That means there's an opportunity for someone to step forward and become the connector, the person who brings people together, clarifies shared goals, and helps the different teams understand each other's constraints. Now that's a very real form of leadership. For example, when there's a project stalling because no single team owns it, you could be the one to set up the joint session, summarize the issues objectively, and suggest a simple next step. You haven't managed anyone, but you've led the group towards success. Second, focus on building influence. And remember that influence is not about convincing people to do what you want. Influence means building enough trust and credibility that others want your perspective and are willing to move based on it. One practical way to build influence is to take the time to understand what matters to other stakeholders. If you have an idea you'd like to move forward, spend time one-to-one with each stakeholder and explore their concerns first. Then you can tailor the proposal in a way that addresses their priorities as well. Now that simple preparation can increase support dramatically, and people will remember that you didn't just push an idea, but brought others with you. The third area is negotiation, and this can grow your leadership skills much faster than you think. Most people see negotiation as something formal. Contract clauses, external deals, legal discussions. But inside organizations, we negotiate all the time. We negotiate deadlines, we negotiate what gets prioritized, and we negotiate who takes ownership of what. Now, rather than approaching those interactions like a tug of war, like my request versus yours, try approaching them like shared problem solving. Ask questions like, what would need to be true for us to meet that deadline? Or how do we make this work given both of our constraints? When colleagues start to feel that you're able to find solutions that work for both sides, your negotiation turns into leadership. Next, there's emotional intelligence, and this is a leadership skill that people seriously underestimate. Emotional intelligence in practice means noticing how people feel, not just what they say, and adapting your approach accordingly. For example, you might notice that someone in a meeting looks disengaged, even though the outcome directly affects them. You could pause the conversation and invite them in. Before we move on, I'd like to hear your view, because I know this has an impact on your team. Now that small action gives them a voice, lowers tension, and improves the conversation for everyone. It's a simple gesture, but leadership is made up of lots of small, intelligent gestures like that. Another powerful way to build leadership is by taking ownership of problems or opportunities that don't have a formal owner. Let's say everyone keeps recognizing that a particular internal process is broken. People complain about it in meetings, but nobody actually fixes it. You could volunteer to coordinate an improvement working group. You bring the right people together, set the agenda, follow up after the meeting, and keep momentum going. Now, nobody reports to you, but you've just acted like a leader by taking responsibility for a shared problem and helping others solve it. Now, one more opportunity people often overlook is mentoring and coaching. Just because nobody reports to you doesn't mean you can't help others to grow. For example, you might spend time helping a newer colleague to understand stakeholder dynamics, or you might share knowledge about a system you've worked with for years. Even informal mentoring builds your ability to support and develop others, which is exactly what formal people leadership requires later on. And finally, leadership also comes from broadening your perspective. The more you understand areas outside of your immediate role, things like strategy, product design, change management, technology, regulation, the more valuable your input becomes when decisions are being made. Now, that doesn't mean you need to become an expert in all of them, but spending time learning the basics of other parts of the organization gives you the ability to connect the dots, and people instinctively turn to the person who can connect the dots when things get complicated. So if you don't yet manage people and you're wondering how to develop leadership experience, start by asking yourself this. Where in my current role can I influence outcomes, make collaboration easier, solve unowned problems, support others, and build broader perspective, even without authority? Once you start acting in that way, people start treating you as a leader long before a formal title appears. And that naturally leads to a final reflection. What's one thing you could do this week, not years from now, but this week, that would allow you to practice one of these leadership behaviours in a real-world setting? Because the best way to become a leader is to start behaving like one before anyone asks you to. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell icon for more videos just like this one. If you're keen to learn more about leadership, be sure to check out theindustryportal.com, link in the description below. Thanks so much for stopping by, and as always, keep growing, keep learning, and I'll see you in the next video.